Hello and welcome to Keep Hope Alive podcast. Today we have another great show. I have the pleasure to introduce Miss Julie Fairhurst. She's going to be talking to us about stopping generation trauma, one story at a time. And I love that, one story at a time. It's like we're going to get a glimpse into her world. But before we get started, Julie, I have one question for you.
Sure.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
How many weddings have you been to, let's say, in the past 15 years?
I'm pretty sure it's about 4.
Four. Okay, perfect. So if you're going to a wedding ceremony and you're going through the doors of this beautiful church, usually there is something there you would sign to let the bride and groom know you attended. What are you signing?
The guest registry.
Yes, yes, perfect. So one of our sponsors is lifeonrecord.com. And what they do instead of the book, they have a vintage telephone they take to the event. And right next to it is a QR code the guests can scan as well. But you pick up the vintage phone and you can leave them a message. Congratulations on your big day. We're so happy for you. Or maybe it was like a groomsman going, it's about time you put a ring on her finger. So it's this wonderful concept because they're collecting voice to be heard over time. Now, if the line is too long, what the QR code scan is if they want to take out their own cell phone, scan that, they can leave a message before or after the event. Now, I use wedding all the time for this sample and commercial for Life on Record, but this can go for any event. Okay. So
Mm.
after all the voices get collected, you have a choice. They can burn it on a 12-inch vinyl record or they have a keepsake speaker. So even if it was a wedding, maybe you're celebrating your 1 year anniversary, you can have that cake and listen to all your friends and family talking. It's amazing.
That sounds beautiful.
Yeah, and the phone is adorable. It's like gold and black, and I think they have all different phones on their website and stuff. So I'm gonna try to re-push that and show the phones on my Facebook page and everything. So the plans, they only start for $99 and you get the phone number. See, I said number, you got to return the phone, but you get the number for 1 year. So even if it was a wedding, I'm like, okay, well, just have your friends and family call before the 1 year anniversary too and say, happy 1 year anniversary. Da, 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 you made it this far. So be something fun and corny like that. But for more information about them, you can visit www.lifeonrecord.com. All right, well, let's get started. Who is Julie Fairhurst?
Well, I have worn many hats thus far in my life. So I have recently retired. Actually, February of this year, I retired from a career of 34 years in sales, marketing, and promotion. And I was very successful at that, running my own business, and I loved it. But I started to get a little bit burnt out. It was a lot. And so back in 2016, I could feel that I was starting to burn out. So I started to think, well, I don't, I love doing stuff. I love working. I love making money. What can I possibly do that where I'm not running around like a chicken with my head cut off every day and just burning myself out? And I was having a hard time figuring it out. And then one night I had a dream and I was sound asleep in bed. And I remember there was a bright light. And I could feel I was being led somewhere. And I heard a voice, and the voice said, Julie, it's time for you to go back now. In my dream, I felt panicked and I said, I don't want to go back. I want to stay here with you. And whoever this person was, to this day, I have no idea who it was, said to me, no, you have to go back. You're not finished yet. And I thought, okay. And then I said, but I don't know what to do. I don't know what my purpose is. And then I heard a voice that said, well, you are your purpose. So in my dream, I was starting to get irritated because I thought, yeah, okay, but that doesn't really help me. And so I said, but I don't know what to do. And as I woke up, the word write popped into my head. So I thought I was supposed to write books for salespeople because I had been doing sales and marketing and promotion for 34 years. And so I started writing sales books and sales manuals and all of this kind of stuff. But my heart really wasn't still in it because I was a little bit burnt out in that industry. So now I'm, writing books, but still I was a little bit burnt out. And so, long story short, in 2019, I stayed with my career, but in 2019, my husband and I decided to move an hour away from my business, so out of the big city. The day we moved, my 24-year-old niece died of a drug overdose of fentanyl on the streets of Vancouver. And it ticked me off. And the reason I was so angry was because I felt like it shouldn't and didn't need to happen. And that's where the generational trauma came in because I realized my mom had her issues and she never dealt with them. She passed that along to us kids. Luckily, I dealt with my stuff, but my brother didn't. And my brother fell into drug abuse. And then my brother had a child and she fell into drug abuse. And then she was a single mom when she passed away. And I just felt like this is shouldn't be happening, and I was angry. So the night after her funeral, I was laying in bed. I was wide awake this time. I wasn't dreaming, but I kept thinking, what can I do? What can I do? There's got to be something I can do to help women, because I believe men are important to families as well, but I believe that we're the glue. And if we can get ourselves together, then we can pass along those positives down to our children and also to the people that are around us. And so it I just started thinking and I thought, how could my mom have gotten that trauma that she experienced out of her body? And of course, there's lots of different ways, but I thought she could have written it. And so I woke up in the morning and I called 15 of my bestest girlfriends and stepsisters. And I said, do you guys want to write a book and talk and tell your story in a book? And every one of them said yes. And in December of 2019, the first book, the first Women Like Me book was published. And since that time, in total, I have 36 published books since
Wow.
2019. The Women Like Me book series, I have 24 of those. And then I have other books as well that I've been doing. I've helped over 160 women so far become published authors. Many of our books have hit
Yay.
#1 book status. And the thing that's really unique about my program is no one pays. No
That
one
is
pays. So,
wonderful.
it doesn't matter if a woman is living on government assistance or if she has a full-time job where she makes good money. Everyone is equal, and there's no financial barriers to anyone being involved in this program. And when I look back at a lot of the women that I've been able to help, a lot of them could never have paid. Could never have
Yeah.
paid. And so how do I support how am I paying for 36 books to be published and all of that? Through book sales. So it's so important to me that I get the books out there so that people can purchase a book, which helps me to be able to do the next book. So in September, I'm starting the next chapter book with another 12 ladies from all over. And that's how, fingers crossed, we sell enough books to get the next book paid for. So
Oh,
that's a
wow.
little bit
It's
about
gonna
me
happen
and
for
what I've
you.
been doing. Pardon?
It's gonna happen for you.
Yeah, well,
I can see
it's
it.
yeah, it's coming. It's coming. It's sometimes some books sell well and some are slow. The key is consistency with your sales and your marketing. And I'm a one-man show at the moment, so I do everything on my own. So what happens to me is I finish a book and then I want to start another one. And so I get that book out, I get it to #1. We with so much excitement. The women learn about marketing and sales and all of that publishing, the publishing world. And then I'm like, oh, that was so much fun. That's so exciting. Now I'm on to the next book. And so I need to leave a little bit of gaps, I've realized, to do my own sales and marketing to push out the books so that everybody knows that they're out.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing though. I like that. And when you said you're a one woman show, I was like, you know what? That's how I am with my podcast. And I'll sit down, go, no, I got this. I got this. And then there's times you have 50 new messages. I'm like, oh, like, what am I doing? And I try so hard to do a morning and an evening. Before I go to bed, I need to feel good about myself and acknowledge and just, kind of have that out there so people know I'm paying attention to them still. But there's times I'm like, it's time to find an intern. And then
Yeah.
somebody once said, well, Nadine, you know, if you have an intern, are you going to be checking their work that they did their work too? And I go, yeah. So you just added more work to yourself. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I see where this is going.
It's and it's hard when you found, something that you love and you treasure, and with your podcast, just like me with my books and my ladies, I'm very, very territorial about them, and I wanna make sure. I would hate which is probably an un I shouldn't feel that way, but like, is someone going to treat them as well as I'm going to treat them? Are we going to have that same connection? Is anybody going to be upset? So which I'm sure if you find the right person,
Yeah.
it all goes smooth, but we have to release that fear, I think.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, and that is really, really important to release the
yeah,
fear and let it go and have that faith in somebody because, I know, even though I'm looking, there has to be somebody as excited as me about this podcast and helping people around the world, that this
yes.
should become an easy process and everything. And I try to get my daughter to help me, but she's busy with a newborn. And I'm like, okay, I
Oh,
understand that. That's
right.
my little granddaughter. So
Congratulations. Oh, that's
well,
beautiful.
thank you. Thank you. But, it sounds like with your books and people being heard through the stories is amazing. It's kind of like the podcast I do here. And I think you told me you have a podcast on this as well.
I do. So how my program works is so I have a group. It's a Facebook group. It's called the Women Like Me Community. Now, in that group, we do community books. So this one says the Women Like Me Community. So any woman in the community can write in this book. There's no cost, there's no charge. If they want to write, they just fill out the form. I edit. I have a book designer who designs the book for me, and I do promotional things. And away we go. So that's the community. But also within the community, I also do something that's about a 2-month program, and that is the Women Like Me chapter book. So you can see how much larger they are.
Yeah.
In this book, I interview ladies, again, no charge, and I pick ladies who I think have the biggest thing for me is that there's lessons in the woman's story, so that the reader, if they're relating to them in that story, the reader is able to find some helpful tips or motivation, something within that person's story that will hopefully help them. And so, yeah, so, and it's not a theme book. So they start to write, and then I come up with the concept of the cover, and then I come up with the title once the stories are done. So with this one, the stories are all about transforming pain into wisdom and love. And it's so interesting because in this book, because I have much more of a connection with the women in this book, because we're doing this over a longer period of time, I have women who say, Julie, I thought I let it go, and then I realized I hadn't. I just buried it. Or
Yeah.
they say, I was so afraid, and now that I've written it down, I realize, what was I afraid of? It was in my head, and it was in my body, and sometimes it's the fear of releasing
Mhm.
it is scarier than what it really was sometimes. So I get all sorts of fabulous comments from ladies, and the one thing that almost every woman has said to me is, if I can just help one other woman, it's worth telling my story. So once they've finished telling their stories, then we do a podcast with them. about their story. And they get to have the video and the podcast for them. They can do whatever they like with it. They can tear it apart. They can use it for their marketing, whatever they would like to do
Yep.
with it. And then the other bonus for them is if they've written in the book, they can now purchase this book at cost. So no commission to me whatsoever, whatever it is for printing, shipping, and taxes. And they can do whatever they want. They can sell this book on a website. They can take it to the flea market and sell it. They can give it away to friends and family. I've had ladies who have gotten on the speaking circuit with their stories, and they call me and they go, Julie, I need 20 author copies. I'm going to do a speeching and I'm going to sign them. And then they sell the books for $25 a book, and it's
Oh
their.
my goodness.
So we're trying to lift people's spirits, release trauma, and let women know that there's power in their stories. Not only is there power for healing, but for making a few bucks too. And a lot of the women who have written can use a few bucks for sure. So that's how the program works with it. Can I tell you about one other book?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
You have all the
okay,
time in the world, girl.
okay. All right. So I also have a group of ladies in Kenya, and they call themselves Women Like Me in Kenya. Now, these ladies are very, very poor. They most of them are widowed. Many of them are very sick. And one lady's living in a hut that's falling down. Like it's not good, not good. And I didn't know this, but in Kenya, if you want your child to go to school, you have to pay school fees. You have to buy a uniform. If you are poor and you cannot buy those things, your child does not get educated. So I had no idea about this. So I met a lady. So I have my connection lady there, and
Yeah.
she has this group church group of 26 ladies. She has a very large church group, but she's got 26 ladies in the group, and this is their third book. So what they do is they write a story. So this one is called Kenyan Mothers Speak. So in this book, I said, okay, I want you to tell me about the healthcare in Kenya. I want you to tell me about the education system. I want you to tell me about what it's like to get food. And all these different things. So they took each one of those chapters and wrote a little blurb about each one of those things in the book. And then all the proceeds. So I have paid for all of this. So they pay, of course, they have no money, but they pay for nothing. Out of the proceeds for this book, they get every penny. So if somebody today buys a book for $15 and I see that it's sold, even though I haven't been paid yet, I immediately send them their $15 because every penny is so important to them.
Yes.
And so not only is it raising money for them, but they have a sense of pride. At first they said maybe we can make beads, and I said I don't sell. I don't think I can sell jewelry. It's not my thing. But then at Christmas time they knitted and crocheted bookmarks. So they made over 300 Canadian dollars selling bookmarks in Canada. And so I sold them with their books. So it's really helping them. And then what they do is they buy the one leader that I have that I connect with. She'll buy like big bags of food, and then they'll all come and get their share out of those foods. And the last big shopping that she did, she bought. I saw that, and I said, "Oh, what is that?" I had no idea what it was, and she said it's dish soap. I said, "Oh, okay." And she goes, we have a lot of people who get sick because they can't clean their dishes properly because they have no soap. And I'm like,
Oh
you know,
my.
and here we sit in our homes, and I mean, we have nothing to feel guilty about. We're born in a different country, and this is our lifestyle and the way we live. But sometimes we forget that there's people in the world that can't even wash their dishes, and they're getting sick because their dishes aren't even clean. So,
Oh
the,
boy.
so these ladies are fabulous. They're just lovely, and so yeah, so their books the proceeds go directly to them, so they can get school clothing for their kids and buy some food and dish soap or
And
whatever it
dish
is
soap.
that you need. And dish soap, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's sort of the gist of my of what I've been doing since 2019.
Wow, that is amazing. Your journey, like, okay, so I love the part that you heard a voice telling and you heard the word or saw the word right. And I mean, that is just a gift. You know, I actually I have never told anybody this. With my epilepsy, I have jumped out of my body. I have thought I say thought, I don't know. I gotta ask God, but I've seen the white light more than once. But I always hear, I'm not ready for you. And then I
Yeah.
free fall and I land in my body
Oh,
and I jump up and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I
oh,
remember the last big seizure I had, I was like, I died, but who's going to believe me? Like, but
yeah,
I saw the white light and I
yeah,
got back for a purpose. So it's those little things that the stories and the journeys, I feel and know that I'm here for a purpose too. So, and I got my calling for the podcast a long time ago, but they didn't have podcasts started right away. I tried
yeah,
to do this filming with a videographer, but it was going to be too expensive to do. So I started doing more meetup networking group stuff, helping women across the area that have been in and men abused relationships of how to get out of it. And somebody wrote me one day and said, hey, I want to hear you. I live out of state. Can you do a podcast? And I talked to a friend about it. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I can really do that. And then bam, just one day. And here I am. I'm very blessed. I have an investor behind the show and everything. And it's been like 100. I have my 1 year anniversary. I think I'm at 160 interviews.
wow,
And yeah, I'm
amazing.
already getting booked up into October. So it's going to keep going and going and going. So
Oh,
it's just happy to hear those stories. And like you, I could tell with your glow, it's almost the same as my
it,
glow because we're helping people. And I love the fact that you do not charge and they get the money for that. That is amazing. And I think a lot of people have that hard concept of knowing I have somebody I know very well. Oh, Nadine, you're doing a podcast and you're not getting paid. You know what? When I sit at church, for me, this is what God wants me to do. Yes, I'm investing time, but I do it out of the kindness of my heart. I would be at a food pantry serving if I could. You know, I'd be doing something like that, but I'm doing the same thing, doing what I love and helping and not charging. So,
yes.
uh,
Yeah,
and
I
that's,
mean, we all need money, of course, and
yeah,
especially
of course.
in living in Canada or the United States, you're in big trouble if you don't have any money to survive. And that's important. But I believe that if you're doing what you're meant to do, it just comes.
It
It just
does.
comes. Yeah. And there's been times I've gone, oh no, like, how am I going to pay for my next book? Things are a little tough right now. Next thing you know,
Just
the money's
comes.
there. It just comes.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, 36 books later.
Exactly. And that's the cool part about it. You know, with the blink of an eye, I mean, you never know who you're gonna meet out
Yeah.
there in the world too, or maybe it's just a new door or a new thought, new vision. I can tell you guys a little secret about my show. There is a whole new vision, and if you watched a couple podcasts ago, you would probably catch the hint. But, I got she dealt me it was a doctor. She has a challenge for me. But this challenge is turning into something very more creative and maybe something bigger than we expect. So it's going to be a platform on the show now. So I'm excited and I'm going to talk to her and she'll get it. But I think she would be a good co host with me. So
Oh,
I'm going to
nice.
bring that up to her today, or she can listen to this podcast. But she was amazing. And I think, you know, as time changes in the world, and people see I want to have different divisions, you know, a sports one, education, a love one, you know, what is it that you want to hear and focus on? Let's make it this division and grow stronger and stronger.
Yes.
So I'm
Yes.
not no Joe Rogan, no
Yeah.
offense, Joe Rogan, but it's just the numbers come when the numbers come, and I know everything's a number game, but if you just click and listen, you don't have to watch a podcast at
Yeah.
all. I listen to some of them with my AirPods on, whether I'm driving or falling asleep,
Yes,
honestly.
I'm the same way actually. Yes.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like I love hearing it. I had a lady do a reading on me and it felt like a story. And I'm like, I've listened to it 3 times now. And I go, oh my gosh, she was so right on. But it's like taken back in time and the spirit guides showing her what could happen to me. But it's given me that motive to move forward. And I can't give up on love. I'm going to keep trying.
Yeah. Oh, for
So,
sure. You can never give up because you don't know what's around the corner.
yeah.
You don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but really quick also, while we have a little time, have you ever heard of snap bands? They look like
I
this. Let me see if I can get on there. And
Yes.
mine says hope on it. And they have this elastic on the back. So if you give it a gentle tug, it hits the
Yeah.
side and it has the mantra word, like I said, hope. And I always kind of say, okay, with this bracelet, I know it can help take away depression, anxiety, PTSD. The one thing I always pray about when I snap my band for the redirection of thought, I'm like, okay, we're at the hospital again. I have no veins. I am praying over and over for the person who needs to find a vein on me. And it
Yes.
works. But it didn't work this
Oh,
time. Let's see. Look at that.
you poor
I know,
thing.
right? I was like,
Ouch.
he goes, "I'm so sorry." I was like, "Oh, sweetie, you're fine." It
Yeah.
happens all the time, but
Yeah.
that is the one thing. It takes the anxiety out of things. Like I can redirect my purpose, my thought, and think, "I'm on the beach. Nobody's sticking a needle in me. This is
Right.
great. The world
Yeah.
is at peace and everything."
Oh,
But so with these bracelets, they come in all different colors, all different mantra words, even faith and peace and love and hope, and the list goes on and on. And you can go get those. And every portion of snap bands being purchased, they give to organizations that help fight depression and anxiety. So
oh,
it's
that's
really, really good.
beautiful.
Now, like a couple of people I've talked to, even on my show, say, I used to just put a rubber band around my wrist and just do it because it does help, especially um, Linda. I'm going to bring up her name. She said she would do that to help her fall asleep. And I've never done it to fall asleep, but I bet it works 100%. So I've had mine
Mhm.
on for 8 or 9 months, and it is just amazing how much it does for me. So,
Mm.
but with that being said, if you would like to learn more about snap bands and what it can do for you, you can visit www. And I'm going to spell this out, guys. Snap is spelled SNAPP, and then bands, BANDZ.com. So, all right, I want to get back to you because you know what?
Okay.
36 books published, helping people, being able to write their own book. And that is something I always go, well, my book is in my head. I just don't have time to write. But then I had something like so inclined happen into my spiritual journey. I was like, this could be a movie. This could be a book, but I don't want to write about it because it was scary. And I was like, I don't want all this old stuff to come back in my life and don't want to think about it again. So I was like, I'm just going to hire a ghostwriter.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So, but when you guys set goals, it's one thing I learned in marketing and sales. And right now I'm doing inside sales. You set those goals, have a vision board of where you want to be this day, that day, market, go for it. Like for phone calls that I have to do at my job, they would like 400 calls. I'm lucky if I can do about 350 or 386 every day because it's a lot of work. But yesterday I was like, I want to hit my goal and I have a little bit more time. What can I do? And I came out with like 536 dials and
Wow.
appointments. And I was like, okay, I got this. So if you set your mind to these goals, and it could be, I want to write a book.
Yeah.
I'm a songwriter. I want a new song. Just take time
Mhm.
and know. Once you set your mind to it, you can do it. It's about time
Yes,
management too. So,
yes, for sure. And that's with a lot of the ladies that I talk to. They almost all of them have wanted to write a full book about their stories, but it seems overwhelming and daunting. And that's why we start with a chapter,
yep,
and then they can
definitely.
build on that. It's a
Yeah.
chapter. So they pick one thing in their life, hopefully one thing. I've had ladies do more than one thing, but usually one thing that's happened. And then with that, they're able to build on that. They can take that apart. They can use it as a beginning, a middle, an end, however they decide that they want to be able to do that. So a chapter, although I've had some ladies drop out because it's been too much for them, but a chapter is usually a lot easier to get out than to think, oh, I'm going to get my whole book out.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
would agree with that. Like a chapter could be easy, knowing it could be up to 15 pages, but still, the
Yeah.
words are out, your story is out. It could be like a brief synopsis, or it could be the whole story just clumped in one, too.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
as long as
Yeah.
they just get the point or the gist of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
So and then with your website, they can go visit that and find all the books also. Is that
Yes.
correct?
So all of the books are on Amazon. So that's where you can find every book that I've got published at the moment is there. But we just recently started the Women Like Me bookstore. So it's WLMbookstore.com. And there we've started loading. So it's a bit of a slower process, but we're getting there. So we've got quite a few books on the go. I also have a lot of the books that I have written personally. I have sales books on there. We have all sorts of good stuff, as well as we've got one course at the moment, and then we're talking about more. But there's some books, tips on writing and that kind of thing. So that is the easiest place to go right now. Also, there is a page there that talks about Women Like Me. There's a page there if somebody wanted to donate to Women Like Me. How we work it out there is this book is worth $5 up to $100, and the person who's purchasing the book can pay whatever works for them. It's all digital though. At the moment, I'm not shipping. So if you want to get a book that you can hold in your hand, then Amazon is the place to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Good to
Yeah.
know. And guys, with my website for www Keep Hope Alive podcast, we do have a storefront, and I'm going to be adding all her books. Now, I know she's talking about all other books coming out. That's another podcast, girl. Then I'll do the next 36. So, but yeah, I gotta give you a hard time on that. But yeah,
Okay.
you'll be able to find her book and purchase it, and we'll have all your information also to contact her. And just to remember, everybody, you have questions also for her, you can call 833-780-HOPE, which is 4673, I believe, at the end numbers. But yeah, and then whatever messages you have, I'll pass them along to her, and then we can do. So something new with my podcast, I'm going to try because it just came in the mail today. We are going to live stream the same time, but I don't have
Ooh.
the eyes to do a whole interview. So just bear with me. I had mentioned on my last podcast new changes. I'm going to make the announcement right now and here. But to live stream, of course, people may have questions. I may take time to put on my glasses and read a few of those for people who do. But yeah, it's going to be a new, fun way of doing it. So, and I love to have answer questions, and get the word out there. So maybe the end of podcast will be a question and answer stuff.
Fabulous idea. Great
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but also, yeah, it's just what in the next 10 years, where do you see yourself?
Doing what I'm doing right now, but maybe on a bigger scale.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe on a bigger scale. I have because I we have been expanding. I say we, but I have the Women Like Me books, and then I have my podcast. I also have a Women Like Me magazine that I was doing once a month. I found it to be a little bit too much. So now I'm doing it every second month. I think it actually works better. And so that is also going out there as well. And also to start to bring in a little extra money for the program, I have started a persuasion. I'm a master persuader in sales, and so I have started some courses with social media and persuasion, and so that is out
Hey.
there as well. So little things that can just help to just make sure that we've got a bit of money flowing, so that we're able to keep the program up and running.
That is so good. Yeah,
Mm.
I
Yeah,
like your energy and your motivation that you have. It's just
yeah.
wonderful to see. So,
Oh,
yeah, definitely. And what do you people might wanna know, what do you do when you're not working? What do you have fun doing?
well, to be honest, I work from the moment I get up in the morning. My husband leaves for work at 6. I get up, I grab my coffee, I'm on my computer. I get up, I do a few things around the house, I'm back to my computer. So I work a lot. But I we love camping. And
Oh, yes.
yeah, we love camping. And because I live in British Columbia, there are some beautiful, amazing places to go camping. So we do quite a bit of camping. Now, I told my husband, I'm into camping as long as I get internet. So he purchased the Starlink for me. If you're out in the middle of the bush, I can still work on my computer.
That is
So
awesome.
and then
Isn't,
yeah, and
that Netflix series Virgin River, like, out that way too?
I you know what? To be honest, I've seen it. I've seen the advertisement, but I haven't seen the show yet. But they
Oh,
do.
really?
We're called the Hollywood of North out here in Vancouver. So my husband, without going into a big long story, in the industry that he works in, he works in he manages gravel pits, so in one great big rock quarry, he has had the filming for um, uh, the Star Wars or Star Trek, the last one
Mhm.
I think that came out. He's had the apes, Planet of the Apes out there. So all sorts of like places that want lots of trees and rocks. So yeah, so Vancouver does a lot of filming, a lot of film industry, mainly, of course, from the U.S. But we do have some Canadian shows up here as well. But I haven't personally seen that one yet.
Gotcha, gotcha, because I just remember seeing the scenery out there is
Oh,
just so gorgeous. I
it
was like,
is really
if I
beautiful.
get married, maybe I wanna look there for doing a
Yeah,
ceremony.
yeah,
It's just
it is a very beautiful place.
yeah, definitely is. Oh my gosh. So, are you also on, like, LinkedIn, Instagram,
So
TikTok,
I'm on,
Facebook?
yeah, so I'm on TikTok, I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram. I have three, no, two, three Facebook pages as well as the Facebook group for the Women Like Me. Where else am I? Yeah. Oh, I have, of course, my YouTube channel and those kinds of things. And for any of your women listeners, if they're interested in joining the Women Like Me, they can find it on Facebook. They just type in Women Like Me, Julie
Mm.
Fairhurst. And if they want to be a published author, right now we're doing a book. I don't have a picture of it because, of course, it's not done yet. But it is called um, uh, graceful guidance. And it's got a picture of an older lady and a younger lady. And it's all about passing along tips and messages to the women in our lives, nieces,
Nice.
granddaughters, or just friends, whoever, who are coming up in the world. And so, what do we want them to know? And so, that's the book we're in the process of doing right now.
That is amazing. I love that. So no more cave drawings
Yeah.
of what to expect. So,
So,
yeah, and that's good because the children who are being born now, they're gonna be in this whole robot world, I call it, I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah.
and all this high technology that, I mean, being here now at age 46, I'm like, I don't know if I want to see the rest of the years with all
Oh,
robots
I
coming in.
do. I'm so excited. I was never it took me forever to get on Facebook. I remember my oldest boy was like, "Why aren't you on Facebook?" I'm like, "Ah, social media, blah, 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 blah." Well, now I do. This is not an exaggeration. Uh, about 1,300 social media posts a month.
Oh my
I am
goodness
out I am
gracious.
out there, and it took me forever to get on, and I got on social media in 2009, and so I'm excited to see what's gonna happen. Ooh,
Yeah,
there's
I hear
so
you
many
on that. I
cool
hear you.
things going
I
on out
remember,
there.
my son, he's 12, but this was last year, and he goes, "Mom, if you're gonna have a podcast, you really have to have a TikTok." A tick what? I knew what he was talking about, but I just played stupid, but what I've learned, I love TikTok. Oh my gosh, I
Yes,
can be myself. I can make the
yes,
videos. Instagram has fallen off my radar for some reason. And I still post everything there, but I think what gets better views is the TikTok for some
yes,
reason. But,
for sure,
and
for
then
sure.
there was another app called Linked Tree. And I love that one because
Right.
if I'm out and about, and somebody is like, "I wish there was a book on women." I go, "Oh, yeah, I interviewed this lady here. What is your phone number? Da, 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 da. I've just sent you the podcast. You can watch it right now."
Oh,
So I love
beautiful,
that
yeah,
about Linktree. Yeah.
yes,
So, and it gives my information out. So, and it helps bring more listeners in, which is very
yes,
important. So,
yeah,
and the fact that the show, when I look at Buzzsprout, like we were talking about, they
yeah,
give you the stats around the world, who is listening the
yeah,
most. Of course, it's America right now, but
yes.
you'll see Australia and Asia and just all these different things. And I'm like going, wow, it's small numbers, but it is hitting. And I get a lot of people who want to be guest speakers from across the country too. And I think that's very important as well.
Oh, for
So,
sure. Yeah,
yeah,
we've
I
got,
think
no, sorry, go ahead.
no, 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 go ahead.
I was just gonna say that the world is definitely getting to be a smaller place. I have writers from Iceland, Spain, Netherlands, UK, Mexico, Canada, many from the US. I'm missing somewhere. Switzerland. We had somebody from Switzerland write. Yeah, it's with Zoom and the internet, we can just connect with everyone. It's
I
spectacular.
know.
I just love it.
So do I. So do I. And it is so worth the money, like right now, because I like doing panels and I grew up having chronic pain. That's going to be my first panel. So I am building it up again. I tried it for this month. It didn't fall through, but I was like, I need to give it a little bit more time, really build it up and make sure we can do this.
Yes,
And that way it gets a weighed in topic with different tips and helpful things. So,
yes. Oh, for
yeah.
sure. Because you never know who's watching or listening.
Yeah, I know, right? So,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming on our show and everything. I think we covered a lot of it, right? Or
Yes. Yes,
okay, I
yes. No,
just wanted to make sure because
I
I
think
know
we
you
got
have
it.
so many books and,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
want people to listen to your podcasts and everything. And just once again, a reminder, her books are going to be on our website probably as of tonight into tomorrow. So it might be a little bit, but definitely. And I just quickly want to thank our other sponsors who keep hope afloat. As we mentioned, Life on Record was your interactive guest book. You can find more information at www.lifeonrecord.com. Snap Bands was our cute little bracelets that tell us it's okay to get through anxiety, depression, PTSD in the world. Don't make this world a crazy place. Take it out and breathe with their mantra words and their cognitive thinking of way and science is how they do it. So Once again, their website, www.snapbands.com. Our next one is Ogden Ventures, LLC, Mr. Marcus Ogden. He is a former NFL player, podcaster, does public speaking, and I believe has books out there too. You can visit more about him at www. Let me spell this one too. Marcus is Marques. His last name odgen.com. Our next one is bridalshowsinc.com. If you are planning an event in the Dallas Fort Worth area, but you know what? I shouldn't even say that. We have people coming out of state for her shows. She's been doing it for so many years. There's about 6 out of the year. You come, you meet your photographers, your caterers, videographers, your dressmakers, you see fashion shows, everything. And you can talk to them, get ideas, set up appointments, get price, and maybe even get booked right on site. But to find out more information, you can go to her website and see what the show dates are. So our next one is Bryce Harney at www.brycemagic.com. Oof. Imagine what he does. Magic. So he's a mind mentalist. He does big corporate events. He's been on TV too. So for corporate events and even church groups, when I met Bryce, he was telling me that he can actually take the sermon from the church and incorporate it with the magic show. And I was like, that is so cool. So he's definitely one to have booked and everything. Our next one is Miles of Smiles Events.com. Deborah, she is a handwriting analysis and lipstick reader, and she is 100% accurate. I kid you not. I had her do me and our staff at one time, and then I watched her in action at events and trade shows, and I would never want to leave her side, actually. She's that good. I was like, okay, forget this big corporate event. I'm going to just sit here and watch everybody's mouth drop open because of how accurate she is. All right, last one is richmondpunch.net. He graduated from the Juilliard's top honors, and he's been a violinist for over 30 years, has played in front of a million people before, and been on 2 episodes of Lifetime movies, I believe. So but definitely. So if you are looking for a violinist, you can always reach out to him. I know he is on tour right now too, but he's just amazing. And a lot of these sponsors that I mentioned just now, they do have podcasts. So you can scroll and find theirs, like Snap Bands is on here, Miles and Smiles and Richmond is on here, and Bridal Shows is on here. Yeah, so definitely. It's always fun to learn about new products and what these sponsors have. If you are looking for a sponsor space here, you can reach out to me at let's do Keep Hope Alive, N as in Nadine, M as in Malone at gmail.com, and send me an inquiry about that as well. Other than that, thank you once again for being on our show. I really enjoyed this. And
Oh,
you
perfect.
are light to me. And I just
Aw,
love your energy. And everybody who's watching this, please reach out to her. Go get those books too. So I can't wait. I know I'm going to be getting one and I'm going to be reading it and stuff. And really quick, let me ask you before we go, are any of them on Audible?
I've just started. So,
Yay. Okay.
yeah, I've just started, and yes, yes. So I think we've got 2 of them, and I've just put them on my podcast. So if somebody wants to go there and listen to it, they can. I've been, a little perfecting it, but definitely I will eventually have them all on there. But at the moment, I only have 2.
Yay. Yay. I love it. I love it. I love it. So yeah, definitely. And whenever one of my guests say, yes, I got Audible, I'm like, okay, if I can't sleep at night, I'm plugging in and listening to the book
Yes.
right away. So yeah, I'm going to have to do that with y'all. So, all
Oh,
right, guys. Well, until next time, love and light. Mwah. See you
thank
later.
you.